Do you want a mid-size SUV that looks nice, drives well, has impressive fuel economy and will help you single-handedly save the world from climate change? Well, that last bit's not quite accurate, but at this stage every little bit helps. Meet the Toyota RAV4 Cruiser all-wheel drive hybrid. We're going to take it off-road and we're going to see how the traction control system works and how it performs on battery power. But before we get fully stuck into it, for even more detail, read my full review on carsguide.com.au. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, and that way you'll stay up to date with all of our news and reviews. This RAV4 is the second from top spec in the 5th generation RAV4's range. It has a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine that drives the front wheels, and it also has 2 electric motors, one at the front to help out with efficiency and one at the back to kick in on that rear axle and give you an extra boost when you need it. The battery is a 6.5 amp hour nickel metal hydride system, and it recharges through the vehicle's forward motion. All hybrid models have an auto CVT that's a continuously variable transmission, and that's standard. This RAV4 has several drive modes, Eco, Normal and Sport, and if you can't guess what they're aimed at, then you ought to take a good hard look at yourself. There's also an EV mode, and that's for driving only on battery power but at low speed and for short distances, and that's aimed at reducing fuel consumption and emissions. And there's also trail mode, and that taps into that rear motor to provide rear axle power, sending up to 80% of total drive torque to those wheels at the back. If you're obsessed with appearance, don't worry, you should be okay. In the RAV4 it looks good, it's got a real low set chunky presence. It's been built according to Toyota's new global architecture platform, and for the RAV4 that means that it's got a lower and wider body. Its wheelbase is longer and it's got a wider wheel track. Style-wise, again, looks good. Nice grille, moonroof, and 18-inch alloys. Those are black and they look pretty cool. For the measurement nerds among you, this RAV4 is 4,600mm long, 1,855mm wide, 1,685mm high, and it weighs 1,745 kilograms. But how is it for interior space? Boot space is 580 litres, so there's heaps of room. There's also a 12-volt power socket, and there's a space saver spare in the back, and that's not ideal for touring. And there's plenty of space in the back row as well. You also get USBs to keep your tech charged, there's air vents and an armrest with cup holders, top tether points and ISOFIX points. The good looks and the premium aura continue inside. There's lots of soft touch surfaces everywhere, like here, these nice little textured bits on the controls. And there's also nice touches like the shelving. There's a deeper, longer one over on the front passenger side, a shallower, smaller one on the driver's side. But they're nice for your bits and pieces. Wireless charging in the middle here and plenty of USB points to keep all of your tech gear charged and ready. It's also got 2 screens. It's got the 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system in the middle here. Now that doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto right now, but that's coming as a free upgrade and it'll probably be available by the time you see this video. It has as well the 7-inch driver display. Now that's really cluey because you can keep an eye on battery usage, torque going to the wheels and all that sort of stuff just to keep up to date with what's happening. And it's comfortable as well. There's plenty of room, plenty of visibility, and it's easy to access everything. I reckon it's time to go for a drive. For starters, it's quiet, it's library quiet. It's like your nan told it to shush, and it is. It's just generally an all-round nice thing to drive. It's got nice acceleration off the mark. Watch this. That's unreal. Steering is sharp and precise, and the RAV4 just sits really nicely on the road, nice and settled and composed because it's so low and wide. It does tend to skip around a bit, but that's only on the sharper corrugations, and that's really down to its firm suspension and those road tyres. But most importantly and most impressively, the RAV4 always gets torque to the dirt when you need it on any surface, and that's because of that good combination of petrol engine, electric motors and CVT. It all works together and it always seems to find the sweet spot. But when it comes to off-roading, a few factors impact the RAV4's capability. It's let down by low ground clearance, its 18-inch wheel and road tyre combination, pretty ordinary wheel articulation and a lack of hill descent control. You can forgive it for those things though, because the RAV4 is not intended to be a hardcore off-roader. but it is a capable all-wheel drive vehicle when driven on well-maintained gravel roads and dirt tracks in dry conditions. A set of all-terrain tyres would help it cope better when the going gets a little bit tougher. I'm just going through some moguls. I'm going to cross over, get the wheels off the ground. I just want to check the system out to see whether it's efficient in getting power from the slipping wheels to the gripping wheels, and it seems to be doing all right at the moment. We've got a fair bit of air there. The RAV4 doesn't have a lot of wheel articulation. That's another thing. There's not a lot of flex. It's not going to get that wheel that's in the air to the dirt, which is why the traction control system, the all-wheel drive system, and that's in trail mode now, it's important that it actually moves that power, transfers that power to the wheel that has some traction. Now this is quite severe. I mean, this stuff is at the outer limits of what someone with a RAV will do, or what they should do, because you don't have a lot of ground clearance. Your approach and departure angles and your ramp over angles aren't that great because it's such a long wheelbase. It's getting through, but it's doing it, we're winning ugly, let's put it that way. We got through. While you're tapping into that all-wheel drive power, the concern might be that you're going to deplete that rear axle battery. Well, I don't think that's a worry, because while it depletes quite swiftly, it regenerates equally as fast. But that's when you're driving on nice gravel roads and dirt tracks in good weather. When you do low speed, low traction all-wheel driving, this RAV4 tends to work hard for forward momentum, as shown earlier, and it chews through battery power pretty fast. And for that reason, and the fact the RAV4 is quite low, I'd avoid driving on any sand other than very firm packed sand, and even then I wouldn't spend too much time at all on it. All versions of the new RAV4 carry a maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating based on the latest 2019 standards. Safety gear includes 7 airbags, parking sensors, reversing camera, blind spot monitor, lane departure alert, and active cruise control. Best fuel consumption is listed as 4.8 litres per 100 kilometres, and that's on a combined cycle, which is pretty damn good. But for our actual fuel consumption on test, check out the figures on the screen right now. The RAV4 has a 55 litre fuel tank. The hybrid all-wheel drive version has a 750 kilogram unbraked towing capacity and a 1,500 kilogram brake towing capacity. The entire RAV4 range has a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty. The RAV4 Cruiser all-wheel drive hybrid marks the arrival of a fair dinkum hybrid SUV to our shores, and I reckon it's really going to rattle the cage. It's a nice blend of efficiency, of comfort, and day-to-day usability. It's bold and chunky, but in a good way, and it's also practical, refined, and fun to drive. This is a nice blend of comfort and fuel efficiency. Now, you may disagree with me, and that's fine, but have your say in the comments section below.